Hey, Executive Function Tribe, it's Sarah. Sorry if I look a little bit, whoa. I just got back from a field trip with my future doctor club at school. We went to a medical center and kind of went behind the scenes, and it was amazing. And to all you RSP students, parents out there, 4 out of my 15 in the Future Doctor Club are on IEPs for learning disabilities and some attention issues. And there's my cat. So she wants to say hello. Say hello. There we go. So anyway, I apologize kind of scooting on here, but I'm glad I made it, and that's evidence that I have executive function in the planning area because I'm able to plan ahead and time everything, and had I needed some extra time tonight, I would have been able to get that and let you guys know that I needed to come on Thursday, but I am all good. So hopefully everybody's had a great week. And this week I am sharing about planning. And one more announcement before I get down to strategies. I did want to share that I think so many of you watch these lives, but you don't watch them live as they're happening. And I was reflecting with my better half thinking, man, like it kicks my butt to do them on a Wednesday night anyway, because I'm, coming home from work and I've got, Wednesday seems to be the day for field trips and things like that. So I'm thinking, and I'm very open to your feedback as well, that we will stop doing the lives and start doing some recorded, actually, sort of lesson formats. So because the lives really are great, but I'm not getting a whole lot of interaction from you guys live in person. It's actually more, oh man, I didn't catch you, but I really love this strategy, or a text on a Sunday morning after somebody finally had a chance to catch up. So I'm thinking that in addition to the podcast, which I would love your help launching. So I'll be reaching out to all my friends and family and coworkers and colleagues that have been great supporters over the years since I've been presenting all this stuff at conferences all over the nation. Now I'm ready to really share it with people that I don't even get to meet in person through the podcast. So I would love to have your support in that when it comes out. Just give it a listen and tell me what you think. Okay, enough business. We're ready for planning. So planning is one of the executive functions. It is certainly one of the frustrations as well, because it's one of those elusive skills that when you have it, you don't know how much you have it, and it's pretty tricky when you don't. So a couple of things before we get into the top tips. I wanted to remind you that the skill of planning is not automatic. It relies heavily on your two things that are really tricky kind of baseline for executive function, which is being able to visualize, so seeing your future self do something, and then also being able to chunk assignments and tasks and things like that. So if you have a hard time managing time, if you're, some people call themselves time blind, or you have a hard time understanding how long something will take, those are things that you need to remember, that planning is not automatic and that it does rely on those particular executive functions, like being able to see your future self. And even some of the short-term memory stuff comes into play, so it's really tricky. And then again, just as a reminder, please listen to yourself. If you're saying should, like, oh, you're 11, you should be able to plan for your report, and it's not happening, then chances are there are some missing skills that are holding your child back. It's generally, no child wants to fail or struggle or fight with their parents all the time. So it really helps when we can take a step back and think like, okay, I'm saying should all the time. Probably this is a skill deficit. So I know you're going to get sick of me saying that, but it's true when you hear yourself say should. And I even do it to myself sometimes, where I'm like, okay, well, if I'm saying should, like I'm shoulding on myself, then probably I need some strategies. Probably what I'm not doing is working, and I need to go backwards and fix something. So it's definitely easier said than done with ourselves. It's definitely easier said than done with our students and our kids. So I understand that I can sit here and be sage on the stage and say all this, but just remember, I collect the toughest kids at my middle school, and those are the ones that I really enjoy working with and thrive with executive function strategies, which is what inspired me to do this whole thing. So I just mentioned it before, but there are two common issues that hold children back in being able to plan. One is being able to chunk assignments into littler pieces. So that means, hey, I got this long report that involves some illustrating, some writing, some preparation for presenting. How do I chunk that into components that are bite-sized and don't feel overwhelming so that I can then initiate my task? But then also, how do I manage those moving parts of the different demands of me? And how do I estimate how long something will take? So all of those moving parts are really tricky for a student with executive function issues. And I just kind of wanted to take a minute to help you understand, like, if you are good at planning, what a gift that is and how many layered in skills you're taking advantage of when you're planning. A secondary thing I wanted to share with you, this common issue with planning, is last minuteism. So this means, well, it's probably self-explanatory, but we always have those 11th hours. Like, are you kidding me? Now you're gonna start? Like, it's Thursday before the Friday that it's due, and it was assigned 6 weeks ago. Like, I mean, I can just feel the should. Like, you should have. Why didn't you just? All of those things like are legit, but then again, they help no one. They just make the situation worse. So part of the reason our human brains rely on that last minuteism or keep going back to it is actually because some of the I call it to my students focus juice, but some of the adrenaline and all of the I wanted to say neurotoxins, that's not the right word, but all of the brain chemicals that come out that when you're under stress like that are also great for supporting attention. So sometimes it's my theory that sometimes it's reinforced in that pattern because, hey, if I wait till the last minute, then boom, I get this natural dose of basically the same chemical compounds that are, it's similar to what's in medication for focusing. So it's kind of like getting your own dose, your extra dose of Adderall or Strattera based on your behavior. So it's an interesting dynamic, but it definitely supports the idea of, oh yeah, well that makes sense why my child waits till the last minute all the time because, hey, he's getting the chemicals he needs to be able to focus. So I just wanted to share those two things because I know those are frustrations that come up. And, even as an expert in executive function, I still can hear that inner part of my brain going like, seriously, you should have done, like, why is your emergency becoming my issue, when the students show up at the last minute? And we deal with the task at hand, and then I also embed some strategies so that we can avoid it again, including letting them know, like letting them reflect on how bad it stinks to be in this position where you didn't plan and now look, and gently kind of guiding through where your choice led to this negative feeling. And if you don't enjoy it, let's look at some strategies to avoid it next time. So you can kind of use that last minute crisis also to your advantage because they are focused. And if you can kind of emphasize the misery that your child's in because of it, then you can also take advantage of a learning opportunity to say, hey, have I got a deal for you? I can teach you how to avoid this. And sometimes that is way more effective than just preloading some of the skills without the application piece. So my top tips for planning. My first top tip is to set a reminder to check in with the calendar every day. Okay, and this can be AM, like a sneak peek for the day, or PM, like a reflection of the day that you just had, plus a sneak peek for the next day. It's really kind of up to you on how to tweak it, but the idea is that we get in the pattern of looking at, okay, here's what I have coming up, And then again, like I was saying before, visualizing, okay, what's that going to look like? What activities am I going to be doing? What things will I need to bring? Things like that, getting in that pattern of future thinking that helps support that executive function of planning. So top tip number one, set a reminder to check in on the calendar every night. And it does need to be a reminder because that's a good visual, maybe a sound prompt, something to have it be part of the routine until it becomes a habit. Okay. The second one is accountability partners. So have you ever noticed? I had a secretary tell me one time that my mouth wrote a check that my butt had to pay. She said it a little bit differently, but same idea. So have you ever noticed that when you tell someone you're going to do something, you kind of have like put yourself in this social pressure to get it done? It's the same idea with an accountability partner. You tell your accountability partner, hey, I'm going to have my essay written by Friday, and can you check in with me on Wednesday to see my progress, and Friday we can celebrate. So it's just having somebody who knows where you're going and those little milestones, who can kind of cheer you on, but can also kind of like scoot your butt if you need that scoot, um, to make sure that you're getting done what you had announced that you would. So I know a couple of friends at the gym have said, oh, yeah, well, I told my spouse that I'm going to be here every day and I hate being wrong, so I'm going to be here every day. And that's, obviously you don't want to put your spouse in the in the position of having to like nag you to go to the gym. But if that's, the dynamic that you have, or that's something that you wanted support on to be accountable, then right on. I mean, as much as you can, use the people around you to help cheerlead you and also be involved in your plan for executive function, or your child's plan for executive function is huge. I would say if you're seeking an accountability partner for your child, it needs to not be you or your spouse or their siblings. It needs to be somebody a little bit more neutral, kind of out of that space, so that the dance and the dynamic of daily is not there. It's kind of more of a novelty of having an accountability partner that checks in on you on a certain day, and is not somebody that you see or hear from all the time. So maybe like sometimes I'm an accountability partner for my nephew, who unfortunately I don't get to see every day, but when I do, I love it. And in the meantime, if I know that he's working on a project, I can come in and check in with him and tell him, hey, you can do it, or what help do you need, or things like that. So I can be his accountability partner a lot more effectively than my sister can, because my sister is his mom and they have a different dynamic. So consider that when you are deciding who you want your or your child's accountability partner to be. And the last top tip would be to assign rewards for like little rewards for tasks that you get done. So part of your plan can include fun. You can make yourself earn something, or okay, when I get this done, I get to like an opportunity, or I actually had my students, and I'll post it later on when I'm back in my classroom, I'll take a picture. They brainstormed some things that either like cheap little things that I could get for them to earn, or just opportunities that they could have, like, hey, if I do 20 minutes of the online math program, can I have 5 minutes of brain break? Things like that, where they know what's coming up, which is also part of self-regulation. Can you see how these executive functions are like, you can't untangle them? But, my students made a great list of little rewards, like treat rewards and time rewards and opportunity rewards, that then they know that they can go back to say, okay, I'm really dreading this, and part of my plan to get this thing done is going to include having little rewards attached to it. So it really works well for my students. And remember, I have the students who already have a heck of a hard time at school. So these are the ones who are masterful at avoiding tasks. So part of the trick for their brain, again, to give them some of that focus juice and some of that, we really get a big hit of dopamine just wanting something, just thinking about having something, which makes you feel happier, which makes you feel more motivated, which increases the likelihood that you will get something done that you've planned to do. So isn't it crazy how all this behavior and brain science works together for success? I love it. And I'm so glad that you're here for me to share it with you. So before I go, I wanted to tell you a funny joke because one of my students burned me pretty bad. So I teach a social communication class for kids with autism. So these are kids who maybe don't understand personal space or talk too loud or don't understand that you don't talk at the urinal, things like that that are sometimes like a little bit giggly, but also so important for my kids to learn. So I'm really thankful. I launched the class last year. It was the first of its type at my school, and it's been amazing. So anywho, I have a young man with autism who I was goofing around. We had a couple minutes at the end of the day, and so we were going to play Connect Four. And like, I'm pretty good at Connect Four, but this kid is a great opponent. And he, I was joking around a couple times before to say, hey, go grab the box of tissue. You're going to need it when I whoop you, and things like that, because being able to lightly joke, especially as a boy, because boys bond that way, is important. So we were joking around, and he said that to me, and then we played Connect Four. Well, I won the first one, and the kids all went, oh, just trying to roast, which again is socially appropriate for a teenager. And he won the second one. And then the third game, I'm watching, and I teach my students with autism idioms, like the little sayings we say that don't mean what they sound like, of course, now I can't think of one. Kick the bucket. You're not literally kicking a bucket, you're passing away. So as we're playing the game that looked like it was going to be a cats game, I said, ooh, I'm thinking of an idiom. It's called cats game. And I explained what it was, and we just kind of moved on. And I ended up losing the third game. And this kid comes back at me. I love when my kids use my logic on me and says, ooh, Miss Kesty, I'm thinking of an idiom. It's called eat your words. So there you go. I got burned by an 8th grader, and it was fabulous. All right, so top 3 tips for planning. Set a reminder to check in with your calendar every day, either in the evening as a rewind of what you did and what you learned from the day and a reflection and a sneak peek for the next day, or just in the mornings as a sneak peek for the upcoming day. And then maybe even on Sundays for kind of the bigger picture for the week. And then number 2, ask an accountability partner to check in with you. Make your mouth write the check that your butt then has to pay. Tell somebody, hey, I'm going to have this done by X date, and can you please check in on me? It's huge. That social pressure, especially for the teenage brain, which is wired to socially connect, we can use it to our advantage. And then the third one, assign little rewards, little silly rewards for tasks that as you get them done. So, I mean, even something, I do it for myself because I know I've said it before, but I hate doing dishes. I'll put a little piece of chocolate right by the sink, and that's my reward for getting it done. So I know it sounds so silly, but again, we're working with the brain science where it mixes with our behavior, and it really helps facilitate the planning and initiation that's associated with executive function. So, all right. On that note, I will be checking in live in a few weeks after we've gotten some podcasts up so that I can actually answer some questions. And then in the meantime, I can post some more content and everything. And jump over, if you haven't already, you can sign up for the freebies that I send out once in a while and just join our tribe at sarahkesty.com/top tips. And that will also allow you to download the top tips that I have for all 6 areas of executive function. So it's a worksheet that you can do with your child, and if your child's not ready, that's fine. And then it's also a checklist that you can put up somewhere important that you'll see it. So and with that, I wish you all a very happy Wednesday. I am stoked to be done with the field trip, and I'm ready to snuggle my cat, who is just about a foot away waiting for me. She's purring because she can hear my voice. I love her. All right, my friends, have a great week, and I will talk with you later. Bye.